Hello, my friend, thank you for being here today. If you've ever felt your heart burning too strongly, too honestly, so much that no one seemed to truly understand you, if you've ever wondered why you always burn brighter, love harder, forgive faster than anyone else, then this moment is for you. Because today, we are stepping into a very special journey. A journey to uncover why the heart of Aries is said to be the biggest of the entire zodiac. A heart not just to love, but to begin to protect, to shine. And now, let me take you into the very first layer of this story where the original flame of Aries is awakened. If you've ever felt your heart was too intense, too real, so powerful that no one could truly understand the fire inside you, then stay with me for this moment. Because there is a reason you carry that flame. It's not an accident. It's not a meaningless burden. That fire is the universe's reminder that you are Aries, the very first flame, the soul that opens the path for the entire zodiac. From the very moment you entered this world, something in you was different, like the drumbeat that opens a grand performance, like the first ray of light breaking through the night, like a green shoot pushing through the soil after a long winter. Aries was never meant to repeat what has been done. Aries was born to begin. And because of that, your heart carries an immense capacity for love. Not the kind of love that clings only to itself, but the kind that dares to overflow, to be given away, to burn until nothing is left. Some will say a heart that big is bound to be hurt. And yes, that is true. You've known pain. You've known disappointment. You've lived through sleepless nights asking yourself why you keep giving so much. But let me tell you this. The heart of Aries is not large because it is weak. It is large because it is brave. Brave enough to step into love when no one else dares. Brave enough to speak the truth when others stay silent. Brave enough to stand for an ideal even when standing alone. I remember once a friend of mine, an Aries, told me her story. She stood before a crowd that opposed her, yet she held her head high to defend someone who had been wronged. Her voice shook, her eyes filled with tears, but she did not back down. And when people later asked her why she did it, she smiled and said, "If I stay silent, who will speak for them?" That is the heart of Aries, a heart that does not beat for itself alone. In Buddhist teaching, there is a saying, compassion is not keeping yourself safe, but daring to step into the pain of another to bring light. I believe Aries is the living embodiment of that spirit in the zodiac. No one can light up a room with their presence quite like Aries. No one can love and live as directly, as fully, as fiercely as Aries. But with the light, there is always shadow. The greatness of Aries' heart sometimes makes you feel misunderstood. People may see your impatience and call it recklessness. They may see your anger and call it aggression. But few recognize what lies beneath it all: a heart burning for justice. A heart that cannot stand injustice. A heart that longs to love the world with all its strength. Dear Aries, if you are listening to this, I want you to know that intensity inside you is a gift. Do not suppress it just to fit into someone else's mold. Do not apologize for loving too much, for living too boldly, for giving too widely. Your heart is vast because the world needs hearts as vast as yours. Close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Imagine within your chest not just a beating heart, but a flame. A flame that flickers, sometimes blazing bright, sometimes glowing softly, but never, ever going out. That flame is not only to keep you warm, it is to shine for those lost in the dark, searching for a path. That is why you are here, to love courageously. That is the mission of Aries. When you give, you lose nothing. You are fulfilling the highest purpose of your soul. And if you have ever been loved by an Aries, you already know their love is like a waterfall, powerful, unstoppable, pouring forth without hesitation. So I ask you to reflect. When was the last time you felt that flame in your life? If you are Aries, or if you have ever loved an Aries, write that story down in the comments. Every story, every memory is a spark added to the collective fire. And who knows, your story may become the light that someone else desperately needs. And now, as we stand here before this primal fire, let us go deeper into the heart itself. Because within this flame, there is not only love, but the strength of a warrior of light, who knows how to use their fire to protect, to guide, and to keep faith alive for those who have lost their way. In human memory, the image of a warrior is always tied to swords, to shields, to the noise of battle. But Aries is not a warrior in that sense. The heart of Aries is the heart of a warrior of light, a warrior whose fire doesn't burn to destroy but burns to protect, to guide, to lead the way. Picture this, a wide open field at dawn. The sun has not yet risen. Mist still clings to the ground. Shadows still hold tightly to each blade of grass. And in that moment, a single flame is lit, not to scorch the field but to light the path for those still stumbling in the dark. That flame is Aries, a heart that cannot stand still when someone needs protection. A heart whose first instinct is always, how can I protect? In life, you will notice Aries is often the first to speak when something is unjust. It could be a child defending a classmate from a bully. It could be a woman raising her voice when she sees someone treated cruelly. It could be a man risking himself to save a stranger. Not because they want to be a hero, but because in the heart of Aries, silence in the face of injustice is unbearable. I once heard a story from a man in his 50s, an Aries. He told me that when he was young, working in a factory, he saw a coworker unfairly scolded by the boss. Everyone lowered their heads, silent, afraid of losing their jobs, but he stepped forward and spoke the truth. That choice cost him dearly. He was punished for it. But when he told me the story years later, he smiled and said, I knew I'd get in trouble, but if I didn't speak up, I wouldn't be myself anymore. That is the heart of a warrior of light. A heart that doesn't measure in wins or losses, but knows that silence itself can be a form of betrayal. Many people think strength comes from muscle, from power, from having the loudest voice. But through the years, I've come to see something else. True strength comes from compassion in the middle of the battlefield, when you can step into conflict and still keep the light in your eyes, when you can refuse to let hatred darken your heart. That is real power, and somehow Aries carries that power within them. The heart of Aries burns not to destroy, but to protect. When a friend collapses, Aries is the one who reaches out a hand. When a community falls into crisis, Aries is the voice crying, we will get through this. In the darkest of moments, Aries may tremble, but they do not run. Because the greatest heart is not the one that feels no fear, it is the one that feels fear yet keeps moving forward. So if you are Aries, ask yourself, when was the last time you stood up for someone else? And in that moment, did your heart tremble or did it grow stronger? Sometimes strength doesn't come from not shaking. It comes from walking forward while your heart is pounding in your chest. That's when you realize you are guided not just by reason, but by a love greater than yourself. Today, the world desperately needs hearts like this, warriors of light. In cities filled with conflict, in families carrying wounds, in communities fractured by selfishness, one heart willing to protect and to love can become a lighthouse. You don't have to do something grand. Sometimes a single word of truth, a hug, a glance of encouragement is enough to be a shield for another soul. In Buddhist teaching, there is a concept called fearlessness. But fearlessness does not mean you never tremble. It means choosing love, even when you know it may hurt. Aries lives that truth. And the mystery is, when you give your flame away, what returns to you is peace. Aries, remember this. Your greatest strength is not in your fists, but in the hands you extend. Not in the shout, but in the words that defend the truth. Not in conquest, but in the light you plant in another's heart. When you live as a warrior of light, you don't just fight for yourself. You weave a net of compassion that holds up the whole community. And one day when you look back, you'll see it clearly. The moments you stood to protect someone else were the very moments you protected the most sacred part of yourself. The heart of a warrior of light is never worn down by love. It only grows larger, brighter, more unshakable. Now, as we've seen the strength of this heart, close your eyes once more. Feel the beat in your chest. It's not only for you. It beats for those who are lost, for those searching for shelter. It is the reminder that your heart, Aries, does not belong only to you. It belongs to life itself. It belongs to humanity. And as we listen to that rhythm, another truth slowly emerges. The heart of this warrior doesn't only know how to protect, it also knows how to forgive. It knows how to fall, how to rise again, and how to offer boundless compassion without end. In life, every one of us carries wounds, moments that knock us down so hard we wonder if we'll ever rise again. For Aries, those moments often come suddenly, fiercely, like a storm of fire sweeping everything away. You may explode in anger, you may cry until no tears are left. You may speak words you thought could never be taken back. But what sets Aries apart is that right after the storm, that heart somehow finds a way to let go and to keep moving forward. Some people look at Aries and say they're hot-tempered, impulsive, quick to anger. But those who walk beside Aries long enough know the truth. Aries is also one of the quickest to forgive, not because you forget easily, but because you refuse to let your heart become a prison that holds resentment. The greatest heart is not the one that never breaks. It is the heart that dares to break and then stitches itself back together, shining brighter than before. I believe forgiveness is never weakness. Forgiveness is wisdom, like a fire that burns bright, then turns into ash. And that ash is not useless. It becomes fertile ground where new life begins. When Aries forgives, you don't erase the pain. You transform it into soil to plant seeds of hope. And that Aries is your gift to the world, the power of rebirth. I once met a woman, an Aries, who had gone through a painful marriage, betrayal, abandonment. For years, she believed she would never forgive. But when I asked her years later if she still carried hate, she smiled and said, "No, I don't hate anymore. I thank him because through that pain, I learned to love myself more." That is the miracle of the Aries heart. It may fall to its knees in tears, but when it rises stronger than ever. Aries can collapse in the night, yet by morning stand again with eyes burning like fire. You are the embodiment of resilience, the spirit that bounces back. And the world today needs resilience more than ever. We live in a time when people give up too easily, when letting go feels easier than holding on. But you, Aries, stand as proof that the human spirit can be reborn. You remind us, no flame is ever truly extinguished, as long as even a single spark still lives in the heart. Sometimes forgiveness isn't for the other person, it's for yourself. When you forgive, you free your heart from its burden. You open the door and let the light come rushing in. And when you rise again, you remind us all that brokenness is not the end. Brokenness is another form of birth. Dear Aries, never forget this. Your strength does not come from avoiding pain. It comes from walking through it and stepping out the other side. Forgiveness is how you allow yourself to grow larger, wiser, deeper. And resilience, that is what makes your heart a gift to humanity. So I ask you, have you ever forgiven someone who hurt you deeply? Share that story, because the light from your journey of healing might become the torch for someone walking through their own darkness tonight. Sometimes it only takes a single story to give another heart a reason to keep going. And when we speak of rebirth, we don't just mean standing up after pain. We mean the power to turn what looked like ashes into a new flame. Because within the Aries heart, there are always seeds of creation, a restless energy that turns sorrow into action, loss into inspiration. And that is the very moment your fire becomes light for the world. There are moments in life when all it takes is a single spark to change the entire road ahead. Aries is that spark. You are not only a warrior at the front, you are also an artist of action. A creator not only on paper, but in the middle of real life. Aries doesn't just dream. You dare to try. You dare to begin. You dare to turn an idea into reality. While others stand still, weighing and calculating, you take the first step. And in that instant, something extraordinary happens. Because when one Aries dares to move, thousands behind them find the courage to follow. I once met a man, an Aries, who was a teacher in a poor rural village. He had no resources, no support, but he opened a small class in his old house. At first, only a handful of children came. Yet his shining eyes, his unshakable belief, drew the whole community together. A few years later, that little class became the first school in the region, changing the lives of countless children. He told me, "I had no blueprint, no plan. I only knew if I didn't begin, no one else would." That is the spirit of Aries, not just thinking, but daring to act. Every Aries is a sacred spark. You have the gift of turning something fragile into a blazing torch. Where others only dream, you take action. Where others freeze in fear, you step forward. And when you move, you don't just change your own life. You awaken belief in everyone around you that the impossible might actually be possible. The creative heart of Aries is not only found in art or ideas, it lives in the way you dare to live fully, daring to begin a relationship when others fear heartbreak, daring to open a new road when others cling to the old, daring to speak an idea out loud when others keep it locked inside. Your creativity is your courage. In our world today, we often praise the great inventions, the discoveries that reshape humanity. But what the world needs even more are the people willing to light the flame in the smallest of things. An Aries can inspire by daring to do a simple kindness when no one else will, by starting an act of charity, by speaking the truth out loud. And from those small acts, a community wakes up. A new current begins to flow. I believe in every Aries heart. There is always a song never sung, a painting never painted, a story never told. Don't keep them hidden. Because when you let that creative fire burn, it is not only your freedom, it is a gift to the world. You may think, I'm not ready, I'm not good enough. But remember, creativity doesn't need to be perfect. Creativity needs courage. The world isn't waiting for your masterpiece. The world is waiting for your first step so your light can spread. Dear Aries, if you are holding a dream inside you, write it down in the comments today. Give yourself permission to share it, because that one act might spark the fire for someone else sitting alone in the dark wondering if they should begin. You never know, your light may be the push that ignites another heart. Picture this. You are a single flame in the night. Alone, it may seem small, but if that flame rises, it can awaken others until the whole sky is ablaze. That is the power of the creative, inspiring heart of Aries. And when that light spreads, it does more than open new paths, reaches deeper into the way you love. Because behind every act of creation, behind every new beginning, is a heart that loves with honesty, a heart that loves directly, a heart that dares to give everything it has. In a world layered with masks where people learn to hide in order to be accepted, Aries walks a different path. You step into life with a bare heart. No disguises, no schemes, no careful calculations. Your love, your very way of living, is a fire, bright, direct, impossible to ignore. I once witnessed a young Aries woman love with everything she had. She never hid her trembling. She never hesitated to speak what her heart was whispering. People called her reckless. Some even called her naive. But when you looked closely, you could see the light in her eyes, the light of a soul that never asks permission to love. And in that moment, I understood. Aries does not love to hold. Aries loves to burn so the other person knows they are truly alive. The strength of Aries isn't in cleverness, it's in sincerity. At work, you stand out because of your honesty. In friendship, people trust you because of your truthfulness. In love, your directness makes another heart tremble because you never hide, you never dodge. Yes, it means you can be hurt, but that is what makes your love so precious. Because deep down, every soul longs to be loved like this, with no disguise, no half-truth, no bargain attached. In these times, the world needs more hearts like yours. We've grown used to polite words. We've grown used to safe relationships. We've grown used to hugs that don't feel real. But what the world is missing are people who dare to say, I love you, while their heart is trembling. People who dare to cry in front of another unashamed. People who dare to give their sincerity, even knowing it might come back as pain. Aries, you are the living embodiment of that. And maybe that's why your love sometimes feels too strong, even frightening. But don't change. Don't let anyone convince you that your sincerity is weakness. Don't let a cold world turn your heart into ice. Keep that fire, because only a fire of sincerity can melt the frozen layers inside another person's heart. I remember one evening an older man told me, in my lifetime I've met many people. Some were brilliant, some were talented, but the ones who left the deepest mark were always the sincere ones. And I thought immediately of Aries, because the mark you leave on another's life isn't victory. It isn't achievement. It's the way you dared to love, to live, to give with nothing hidden. Sincerity is eternal strength, a power the world never has enough of. And Aries, you carry that very gift. Who comes to your mind right now when you hear the words true love? Say their name in the comments as a tribute from your heart. Sometimes, just a single name is enough to awaken a memory, to rekindle a flame in a heart that thought it had gone cold. Close your eyes for a moment, Aries. Remember the time you loved with every bit of your bare heart. Maybe it was a love long past. Maybe it was a friend, a family member. But in that moment, you lived fully. And that is what gave meaning to your existence. And when we reach the deepest layer of sincerity, we see it clearly. The great heart of Aries is not only here to love, but to deliver a larger message to the world. That message is this: direct love, love without detours, love without armor. That is what makes us more human, brighter, closer to one another. That heartbeat, that flame, when kept alive, opens a new horizon. A horizon where the heart of Aries is not just a personal story, but a symbol for us all. A reminder that living sincerely is the greatest form of love. And here in this fire of sincerity, we begin to see the full shape of the Aries heart. Not only a burning flame, but a vast light. A message for the entire world. Until finally, in this stillness, all of that love gathers inside one great heart of Aries, and from it, a message is born. Through this long journey, we've walked together through many layers of the Aries heart. From the primal flame that opens the path, to the heart of the warrior of light, to the power of rising from ashes, the creativity that inspires, and the raw, unhidden love. And now, as all these pieces come together, we can see the full picture, the great heart of Aries. Aries is the original flame, the one who dares to step forward when no one else dares to try. The one who dares to love, even when the heart still carries scars. The one who dares to forgive, even while the pain is still fresh. And the one who dares to inspire the world, simply through a presence that can never be mistaken. Some people are born to follow, but some are born to open the way. Aries is that fire, the fire that clears a path. Your heart is like the morning sun. It does not ask permission to shine. It does not wait for approval to give warmth. It shines because that is its nature, because that is its mission, because it cannot be anything else. And if this world still needs a flame to cut through the darkness, that flame is the heart of Aries. A heart that can fall, that can cry, that can tremble, but never, ever refuses to love. A heart that dares to live honestly, to speak truth, to walk the rough road so that others may know there is a way out, there is a light, there is hope. And you, dear Aries, remember this. The world does not need you to be perfect. The world only needs you to keep that heart, because your honesty, your fire, and your tenderness are already an irreplaceable gift. In this moment, I want to give you a pause. Place your hand on your chest. Feel that heartbeat. It is not only your own. It is the echo of generations of warriors, of artists, of lovers, of forgivers, all living again through you. That is why you are here. Thank you for being here, for listening, for walking this whole journey with me. Thank you for allowing yourself to step into this space with an open heart. And thank you for daring to keep your flame alive, even when life tried to put it out. My wish for you, dear Aries, is that you always keep that fire, bright enough for yourself, warm enough for others, and a flame that never goes out.